Welcome to Beauty as a Birthright, a podcast that explores awakening our six senses: touch, smell, sight, hearing, taste, and intuition through embodied Daoist practices. I'm Dr. Tamsin Lee, a Daoist metaphysical expert and founder of Elemental Archetypes, sharing face reading, Batsa astrology, and seasonal living.
And I'm Dr. Paige Yang, owner of an integrative health clinic in Honolulu and founder of Yang Face, a culturally appreciative Chinese facial tool brand. Join us on our personal journeys as we navigate the complexity of inner, outer, and relational beauty. We'll chat about how awakening our beauty through the six senses impacts our relationship to aging, childhood trauma, romantic relationships, motherhood, dating, careers, and so much more.
Let's awaken our senses and explore beauty as a birthright.
Tamsin.
Hi, Paige. Oh my God, you look so good. You look so different. Your hair looks shiny, amazing. I'm going to describe it for people who don't want to watch us on video. You've got these like new glasses. You look like a hot, sexy secretary, like, or like a hot, sexy CEO, like smart, serious, shiny hair.
Although I am wearing a Target t-shirt, but I guess from the chin up or the neck up, I have
but you
that
know, like,
look.
but you're wearing that downtown look. You're just wearing. You're like, I don't care. I wear a Target t-shirt too.
Yeah. These are blue light blocking glasses
Looks
that I've been really into.
good.
I feel like it makes a huge difference because we're all on our screens all day, and
Yeah, I wear them all the
it's
time when I'm working.
okay. Do you have prescription though? Because you
Yeah,
also
I'm blind.
just work,
I'm totally blind.
Okay.
But the glasses aren't prescription.
but you have contacts. Got it. Okay. Well, I'm super excited that we're back. It's been a while.
I know.
Yeah. But it's such a great time to reconvene because the end of the year is coming in terms of the Gregorian 2024 moving into 2025. And then we're going to be doing another episode after this one, setting us all up for the Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
Lunar New
gonna
Year
be
comes in
awesome.
early this year.
It
It comes
is.
in
Yep.
January. So
Yes.
yeah, we're used to it coming in like, in early February, but it's so interesting. Of course it comes in January because it's the snake, it's the ding fire. So fire always comes first. Or it wants to come
Yeah.
first.
You know what we talked about last time when we were entering into the new year and the Lunar New Year was when we were feeling the animal coming.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious if you've been feeling the snake. If so, what have you been feeling?
I can't get over your hair. Like this is very snake-like too. Like your hair looks insane. It looks so healthy and shiny. I can see like the layers in your hair. Like this feels very snake. You feel very snake-like. I can see it in you already. Yeah, for me, I've definitely been experiencing it, but I think I've been opening myself up to it more so and being more conscious of opening myself up to it. The snake is so the snake my year is monkey, and so the snake and monkey form a really interesting combination, but also a clash. But the combination is actually stronger. So it's so interesting. It's like we're very helpful for each other, but we don't trust each other. That's like the vibe of the snake and the monkey. And a lot of the things that the snake represents, I think, touches upon my deepest wounds. That has a lot to do with comfort, luxury, quality, self-worth, beauty, like not just beauty like in this simple sense, like magnificently beautiful, this like and also the other hidden aspects of snake, like secrecy, but not not telling everybody everything. And I'm the type of person that will tell you everything. They conceal things and like they hide things, and they they watch you, they observe you, and that's very different than monkey. And so those are like some of my deep wounds. So I think I've been consciously trying to open myself up to the snake more, and I'm excited about it.
What of those things that you named out so far with the qualities of the snake and those being the deepest wounds, are you most interested in like bringing into your 2025 versus just as in like this version of Tamsin versus just kind of seeing it from a distance and being like, okay, those are the qualities that the snake possesses that touches a deep part of me, but I'm good. I'm going to just leave it there,
Uh-huh.
or as what are you trying to integrate and transform or like utilize
Two
from what
things.
you're learning from the snake? Yeah.
Yeah, one, this like, I don't know if I can explain it right. It's this like being unapologetic about loving beautiful, nice things. There's like a
Mm-hmm.
materialistic aspect of snake, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They're just like, so what? Like, I have great taste and I like luxurious things. And I don't think luxury has to be very expensive, but it's quality. And often quality comes at a cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
But embracing that. And I was thinking, like, I used to be like that as a kid. And then throughout the years, like, I was constantly told that I was too much or,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think I hid that. I like, that was my natural way of being. Like, I like dressing up. I like nice things. I like taking it over the top. But I was told that, oh, here she goes again. She's wearing a dress again, like these things. And so it like, I dimmed it, right? And
Yep.
then, or wanting to make other people feel comfortable. But then I would hide that. And then the other thing that I really want, a more internal thing, is this strength of the snake that doesn't need to show everything and doesn't need to tell everything. And I think that's a snake. It's like they don't need to prove anything. Like
Yeah.
if I say people, I was telling my friend this. I'm like, if you annoy them, they're just like, I can't be bothered, and then they just slither off. They're not going to tell you
Yep.
why. They're not going to like make a big deal. They're just like, ugh, and then they'll just slither off.
It's so, I love that you use that word about can't be bothered because this
Mm.
morning, knowing we had the podcast, and I was thinking about qualities of the snake and what I think are really wise ones. And one of them that came to my mind was unbothered.
Oh,
I was like, unbothered. This is such a good one because I think it's a way to stay in your power,
yeah.
and it's very different from not caring. It's more like what you were saying, where I don't know, like you're so strong in your skin. It's so interesting how like our
Oh,
cultures play on all these words, right? You're so comfortable in your skin that very few things can like get under it and get under you, right?
yeah.
And I think because they do that, they shed, they have that shedding process. That's kind of how they just slough it off, like
Mm-hmm.
it leaves their body. And then they have like this new one and this new, and it's just a really interesting process, but I think it really is in line with the qualities of the snake.
Yeah. And
Um,
when snakes, like, I think this ties why I'm at this like unbothered stage because the snake, when they shed their skin, it can actually cause a lot of anxiety for them and it can sometimes be painful for them. And so that's why you'll want to make them very comfortable or out if they're out in the wild, they level up that comfort level. So like they need a lot of heat
mhm,
and comfort, again, like that luxury part of it so that they can actually
mhm,
shed because it is like anxiety, it is very anxious for them. And so I think when you go through that, if you look at it how it may show up in your life, it's like if you've gone through very difficult things like shedding your skin, that was very painful,
yeah,
right? When little things show up, or maybe not even little things, like just like, absurd things, you're just like, I can't be bothered with this. Like,
mhm,
I just like, oh, got over this major trauma. Like, this is not, I can't right now. I'm leaving.
yeah. Well, it puts things into perspective too,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, and then suddenly the things that maybe bothered you before or bother other people, you're kind of like, no, whoa, like step back here
Yeah.
compared to what I just went through or what I witnessed, like something metamorphosing. that this is I was like, is that a word? You know, it puts it all into perspective.
Yeah. What
But
about you? Are
something else,
you
yeah.
like how are you feeling about moving into the snake year?
hmm I want to share that, but I also wanted to say one more thing before I forgot that
Mhm.
you touched on that I thought of as well with the snake qualities and this like luxury that you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
I have found, and I don't know if like you can think about it and our listeners can think about it, this really unique quality in snakes, which is they're able to present and talk about nice things and luxury in like this very unpretentious, comfortable way. And I think sometimes, like me as a non snake, as a tiger, like the way that I talk about that stuff, I feel like, I don't know, like embarrassed or like I shouldn't be saying that or I shouldn't want that or kind of like what you
You're
were
kind of
sharing a
similar to
bit.
me a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then I do feel though that snakes can just, they have this like incredible way of presenting this like very comfortable, luxurious, like you know that they're comfortable with that, but they're so comfortable with it that it just, the way that they can talk about it is like so unpretentious, so like matter of fact, so, and like it doesn't, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but maybe like, you know, you can think about people in your life and our listeners can think about people in their lives, but I just feel like the, like I can think of 5 snakes in my life that are all like that, and it's incredible. I'm like, "Oh, how do you do that? How do you just, like, talk about nice things without feeling snobby or whatever whatever the word is?" And I think, like, snakes are really comfortable with that.
Yeah.
It's it's kinda cool.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're balanced, it's like they don't they don't come off as pretentious or snobby.
Yeah.
It's not how I associate snakes with. I think that's a ding fire thing. Right? Like
Mm,
fire is all about
mhm.
connection, and ding fire especially is it's like it's in a lot of ways I think it is much more stronger than yang fire, because yang fire can be very in your face like a lot,
Yep,
you know? But ding
yep.
fire is like the candlelight, it's the stars. It's so warm
Mhm.
and inviting. It's like the campfire. So there's something about
Yeah,
their essence that is like come closer and like you're included in this, and
mhm.
it's not like come on over like Bing Fire is very like yeah like cheerleader kind of thing, but Ding Fire is just so mesmerized, and it draws you in. Like we're
Yes.
always drawn to candlelights, we're always drawn to the
Yep.
stars. It's this softer fire element that's like you're included.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to take your eyes off of it because there's this
Yeah,
influence there too.
yeah.
Okay, but to answer your question, gosh, there's so much symbolism. It's so hard not to play into all of it because it's just like really illustrates everything so
Play
well.
into
But
it. I love it. I like comfortable
yeah,
in your own skin, of course. I didn't even think about that.
yes, right. But okay, yes, and though not being understanding and accepting that like a new version of yourself is inevitable
Oh
and always
yes.
taking place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like welcoming it, even though it's uncomfortable, because it's part of life, you know? So I really resonate with that process. I mean, 2024, our poor listeners, they're probably like, Hampton and Paige are always having a really hard time. No, but I mean, 2024 certainly there, I mean, it's been very hard, very, very hard. And I feel like around you and I's birthdays is when I finally started to like come out of what I was working through. Um, and then I'm headed into this new year and this snake year, feeling like I've kind of like have rewritten my, like not my playbook, but what's a good word for it? Nor my values, but like my compass or something, like the way
Mhm.
that I'm choosing to orient in this world and the direction that I want to go, that feels like it's been totally rewritten for me.
Ooh, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I wish I thought all of that more through. But so okay, I think, this is so snake-like, but I feel like I I'm having so much clarity in my values and my beliefs and how I want to be spending my time, that it's giving me this like deep sense of freedom, and it's helping me feel less affected by things I can't control, and in a genuine way, not like
Mm.
theoretical, but like I feel like I'm starting to really live that way instead of convincing myself that I know that and I'm trying to do that and I do live that way. Like it feels for real this time.
Oh,
Like something, just like came together.
that's very
And does
hard
that
for a
resonate
metal
with you?
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are all about control. I think I
Right.
love that
But
you
what do
said
you
that.
think?
Like, because like I think that's the other thing that I really like is this idea that like every moment, every day you can wake up and you behave differently or change your mind about something or and I think that was very hard for me to understand, like how can you do that, like how yesterday you said you were going to do this and then today you just quit your job, how it's like um and so even something like belief systems, like if I believe something and I say I believe in this today and tomorrow you ask me and I've changed my mind, I can change my mind. And like, I don't owe
Yeah.
you an explanation, like I thought about it. I read some stuff and then now I believe in this. And
Hmm.
I think in that way, I definitely understand that it's like this big thing. And I think that part of that comes from, again, like being unbothered. And maybe it's like an age thing. Like I'm getting to that age where like a lot, I'm caring less and less and less about what other people think, just because
Yeah.
I'm realizing time is really short and who really cares? Like, ultimately, isn't it just about you just being a nice, like a kind person? Not just
Hmm.
nice, but a kind person. To me, that's
Right.
everything, right? Like what you do for work, what you decide to do with your money, who cares? Like, just at the end of the day, just be kind to each other. And I think that
Hmm.
is like, yeah. Can I tell you one funny thing that
Of
like led
course.
me to this revelation? Because I'm like trying to
Yes.
avoid it, but I'm like, I gotta say this. Like, this was like the awakening moment. Like, in the last month, I was sick, so I didn't have a voice. I couldn't do anything. And I'm scrolling through Instagram a lot, and just my algorithm is nuts, just showing things on random stuff. And I came across this page of this guy. I think I don't know how I came up to his page because my burn account is just about cleaning. I follow cleaning and organization like accounts and like cute animals. That's what my burner account is. When I'm stressed, I just go to that account and I watch people clean and I watch cute videos of animals. But I think I also follow some fashion and queer accounts too. And he is I don't know how I came into his account, but he has an addiction problem and he's been very vocal of his
Mhm.
addiction. And then I think he's also a dancer and he just started an OnlyFans account. So this is a wild account, right? And um and he relapsed. And he like came back and
Oh,
he's like, I relapsed. And this is hard drugs that he relapsed on. And then literally 2 days later, he is going to Turkey to get a hair transplant and veneers. And and I was like, this is wild. Like, but that honesty of like, my whole account is about being clean. And then I relapsed.
yeah.
I went on a bender for 2 weeks and now I'm trying to get clean again. And then also, by the way, I'm going to
Mhm.
Turkey to get my hair transplant and my veneers to look really hot. It was- for a metal person, I'm like, oh my God. But I was like, I was like, wow, no shame. Absolutely no shame. And he shouldn't have any shame, you know? Like,
Right.
this is life. Like, yeah, that happens.
Mhm.
And that was an awakening moment for me. It's like, if this person can show up to Instagram like this, right? No shame that he relapsed, you know, now he's got to get clean again, and it sucks to get that out of the system, and then flying to Turkey to get new hair and new teeth. Yeah, who cares?
Oh my God, Jonathan. I don't know why that was so funny though, because of our like metal Virgo similarities, where you realize there can always be an and, like it doesn't have to be an either or. It's like,
Yeah.
and this. But okay, going back to the snake, when I think of, so coming off of the dragon, which really has this like shape shifting quality. And I think that that continues on with the snake. You know, you
Oh,
can see how like it can change colors depending on its environment. It can be coiled up and very hard to spot. It can like retract. It can do all of these things. It's also very shape shifting.
but
And
can I say,
yes,
but it doesn't transform into something else. So it's not like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It still remains the
right.
snake. So we can constantly be
Itself, right.
evolving, but at our core, we're still who we are.
That was the next part of my sentence,
Oh.
Tamsin.
Sorry.
No, I mean that's great. We were completely on the same page with that whole thought. But and too, like what you're just saying, it's really, yeah, it's what is it? You don't have to follow. There's no like rules or guidelines to all of that. You know what I mean? And I think we're so used to being comfortable with like, oh, this is my identity and these are the expectations of that identity and this is what I'm going to do because I feel, you know, I feel safe in that box or whatever. But then we know that it's not until you break out of it that true learning happens, vulnerability that gives way to it, and then really profound changes can occur. And then you don't have to though stay to that change, you know, like it's continuous, it's moving. It's just like yin yang, how it's always this push pull, never ending. And it's really neat.
Yeah. And it just shows like all of us are very complex people. You know, we're not just a one identity kind of thing. We have layers, but
Yeah.
I think this really goes to period 9 energy that's also coming in. This like it's ruled by Yang, it's a ruled by Li trigram, which is the big fire. So I think that's interesting that we're going to be in this like fire year, really. But it's also ruled by the older woman. So it's a new era of like, you know, you can see it just all over the world. That is just we're seeing things in a very multidimensional way, and like it's not so cookie cutter, and people are not so black and white. It's very complex, and there's layers to it. And I think that is freaking a lot of people out, and then other people are just running with it.
Yeah. I've been really intrigued by the people that are able to run with it. I feel it seems really cool. Like I really like, I've just been noticing, you know, a lot on social media and even within the clinic, people who big changes are occurring and like in like real time, but like even just really fast. And it seems like at least the community that I'm surrounded by, people are like rolling with it and I'm pretty impressed. But I don't know if there's going to be this like momentum moment where like it catches up to everybody and or this group of people that I'm talking about, and then they're going to have like a reckoning like, whoa, actually, I don't know though.
I'm
I'm
fascinated
trying to
by
think
people.
more.
I'm fascinated by people
Yeah.
who aren't being pulled in that. Like, it's like, how are you still resisting? Just let it go.
Mhm.
Like you can feel it. It's like everything in your life is falling apart, right? When that happens, it's
Yeah.
like it's time for change. It's time for you to move. But they just keep holding on to these things that are falling apart and like crumbling and like trying to live the same life, right? Instead of thinking like, I don't think this is working. I think I got to figure something else out. And so I find
Yeah.
that really interesting. For me, it's not like I choose to let go. It's like it's such a humbling thing that like I fall to the ground and it's like I have to do this now. No, I don't do it willingly, but I'm
Mhm.
surprised. Like I'm what's the word? Not curious. I have a hard time understanding those who even in when they fall into the deepest part of their existence and everything is falling apart, nothing is making sense, and they still hold on.
Yeah. Well, I think when I hear that, I also think about presence and not being present. I feel like what you described for yourself, it shakes you into having to be present because you're
Yes.
coming face to face with a reality and accepting it. And I think those that are still holding on and digging their heels in and not wanting to accept what's in front of them, I feel like those people have a really hard time being present with that truth. And in doing so, you create a lot of stagnation, right? And that stagnation with like light and dark and yin and yang, it's dense, it's dark, and it can like break up that when I think of presence and I think of like light energy, possibilities can course through you. There's like less blockages. But when you're not present and you're stuck, there's these like blocks of like darkness that get in the way.
Hmm.
And then possibilities can't course through you as easily. And so I think that it's hard for those people to see it. But when you let go and you become present and you have more light energy and more possibilities can run through you, it will completely shift the course of your life for the best for you. But those individuals have such a hard time accepting that. And it just keeps them stuck and in more of this dark, dense energy. So
Mm.
I think that's hard because then you can't see as well.
It reminds me of like the season that we're in now. We're in this water season, and it's yang water
Hmm.
this month, ruled by the rat, which is a yang water. So it when you're talking about that, I'm like, to stay present requires I feel like a lot of courage. Like you
Hmm.
have to have so much courage to be present, to stay in the present moment and feel everything that's happening in that present moment. And yang water is all about courage, right? It's the darkest time of the year, but you need to
Hmm.
have that courage to accept that darkness so you can see the light. And there is light in that yang. And the water element relates a lot to fear and this will. And that will can be very stubborn, but that will is also the courageous thing that pushes you forward. Yang water is the most powerful element in your
Yeah.
natal chart, in your phase. It's the first element. It's like everything. All life begins
Yeah.
in the water. And so if you don't have the courage to go to the depths of the darkest part of that ocean, it's like you can't. And then I think, yeah, like it's interesting. Like, have you ever gone scuba diving?
No, I haven't.
So when you go scuba diving, you descend slowly down so you can equalize your head basically. And it's dark. It's so dark when you're going down, and it's really claustrophobic, and for me it was very scary. But then once you reach the bottom, it's a whole new world. There's so much
Yeah.
color and like life, and you're like, oh my God. But to get to that point, to descend to the dark, and you got to chill out. Your breathing can't be like, because you'll pop back up. You'll
Hmm.
never be able to equalize to
Hmm.
descend slowly. Once you chill out and you descend, and then you see light in the darkest part of that ocean, it reminds me of that. It's like, I never really thought to be present, you need a lot of courage.
Yes. Yeah. Y- I don't know what direction this is going to take us, but I was thinking when you were talking about that, how water is a portal. I mean,
Ooh.
we see it. Yeah, like you mentioned. Did you mention birth or like
I said
just
life
recently?
begins in the water.
Okay, that was what you said. So, I mean that, right? That's obviously an obvious portal. Is like the womb, the amniotic fluid that you're floating in, and then you like come out and you're on this side, you're like earth side. And then there's been those congressional hearings talking about aliens in the ocean. Everyone's like, there's aliens in the ocean. But in my head, I was like, kind of in the ocean. That's more like a portal. They're just they're using the ocean to travel across the ethers. They're not like, I don't think they're dwelling in there. I think they're coming and going. And then what you were describing, like being, before you go down, you descend into this darkness. It's really like this portal, and then you come to the bottom, and there's this. You described it like this whole world down there.
Yeah.
Like it's just that also adds to this profound power
Yeah.
of this yang water and what it's able to do.
Yeah. I think that we've kind of touched upon it, like this dragon year of being very humbling. And I kept thinking about what you said of like, you mentioned something in a couple podcast episodes, or something about like, you have to meet the dragon, right? And like and I kept thinking like, I think that's the whole point of dragon year. I've been getting so many emails and DMs from clients who've said this was the worst year. Like it was chaotic. It was like, and I don't say it because I don't know how to say it. Like DMs are just weird, right? And it's like a one-time thing. So, but I really believe if this past year has been the most difficult year, um, it was meant to happen. Like everything was to be what was meant to be destroyed. Everything was meant to crumble. Everything was meant to be collapse. Right. And you got to be careful about when you say this to somebody because they might not be in a place to hear this kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But that's where I am. I'm like, it was all meant to happen because all of that, it was just BS, like in my life. And it needed to come crumbling down in the most destructive way. And that's dragon. Like, can you imagine the dragon coming into your village? Like, it's gonna, whether it intends to or not, it causes so much destruction.
Right.
And I think with the snake, it's that time where now we get to slowly rebuild and like slowly reimagine. And really kind of what you touched upon in the beginning of you coming to this, like, not faking it, but really accepting like who you are and being comfortable in their skin. But hopefully in the last year, we did what we were supposed to do. So I think that's why I'm excited because I feel like I did what I was supposed to do. I did it. And now it's like, now I don't even know what's ahead of me, but I can feel it. It's different.
Yeah. The other interesting thing, because you were talking about, like, imagine the dragon just coming in and destroying your village. And yet, what else the dragon does? So, the story, the Emperor's Race, where everything like kind of has to burn to the ground, where there's like this fire and the dragon like leaves the race to help people from the fire and then enters it again. So it's like it to one extent, to one like universe or plane, it like was there and like destroyed it all, but then in the next plane it like went and like swooped in and saved you from from the burn down. And it's because like you can't, you and I talked about like you can't really ride it. It's There's always a saying of like how to ride a dragon or riding a dragon, taming a dragon. Like it's a saying because it's nearly impossible, but the energy of like following the energy of the dragon, which it sounds like you were able to do when you're like, I think I did it. I think I did what I was supposed to do. That is kind of, I think, the closest we can get to grasping the lessons of the dragon.
You can't control the energy of the dragon.
Yeah, right.
The dragon will take you wherever, it takes you. And then I think that thing of like destroying, but then also bringing in rain to save the fire, that the dragon maybe have caused, you know, who knows, right? Like, where did this fire, how did this fire happen? You know, it's so Asian, right? So it's always like you get wealth, but you don't get wealth without all of this other stuff, right? You you get all those blessings, but you don't get those blessings without all this other stuff. And so, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, what else are you feeling? Okay, I know you're saying you're excited. You said like it feels different, but you might not totally know what to expect. But what does that mean? How does that feel different? Like, where do you feel it? What is the feeling? When does it come to you?
I think the main feeling is I know this next year is going to be a year of making mistakes. And that's like, usually that would cause a lot of panic for me. But I'm accepting that because I'm at this place where it's like they're not necessarily failures or mistakes. It's like more information for me. And so I think I've been using my natal chart, which is ruled by the resource star, which is very much about like information. So how I heal is through information. So I kind of made that swap in my head that every time I make a mistake, quote unquote, it's not a failure. It's data. And that data gets me closer to, you know, the end product or whatever that is. And so I know the snake year is going to be a year of quote unquote making mistakes because I've destroyed everything and now I'm reimagining and rebuilding, and I can't rebuild things without making mistakes and like seeing like this isn't working, that's working, and I'm going to learn new things like along the way, whether it's like learning new ways of communicating or behaving or thinking, and I want to give myself grace to make those mistakes, to go through that constant transformation of shedding the skin over and over and again for that next year. I also know my stars like are a lot of it is learning. But all of this is really because even in metaphysics, I'm still a trained clinician, right? So you ask any real good clinician when you come in with like a low back pain, they're going to treat that low back pain. But what they're also looking at is what does this look like in the next 3 months, next year, next 5 years, right? You're thinking so much ahead. And so that's what I do with metaphysics. It's like, yes, I'm focusing on snake year, but it's really because horse year. And horse year for my chart is going to be bomb. So I got to like really pay attention to snake because 2026, that's where like that's where I'm looking.
Yep. I love how there's always, I think that I have at least like this framework of threes where I'm thinking of, as we've been talking, I've been like thinking of the current dragon, knowing that we're in the snake, but same as you, I'm like, but because horse is after.
I love it.
It's just like this frame of threes. Yeah.
Because it's too late. If you start thinking about horse in the middle of snake year, you have a lot of catching up to do, you know?
Yeah.
So how are you thinking about it in terms of horse?
So my son's a horse, so he's going to be 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking a lot about it for him and a lot of his friends. He's a fall baby, so he's on the older end of his grade. But it just so happens that a lot of his friends are fall babies and horses. And his grade or his friends, they're all super athletic, and which is very horse.
Yeah.
And a lot of his coaches in the sports that he does, they're like, whoa, this cohort of kids is super athletic. They're gonna do really good. And so I was explaining this to my son, and that's, you know, he's young, and so because I'm his mom, I don't want to like get overly invested in what the horse year will be for him. It'll be his first, like after birth, his first time experiencing his own year. So anyway, so I was thinking of that. In terms of myself, I'm trying to, I'm always looking ahead and looking in terms of like how to set myself up for the next animal or the next term. But I'm also really trying to have more presence, because for me at least, like I was really working through a lot of anxiety, and I had mentioned in another episode OCD was kind of like the main symptom. And always being a step ahead or planning ahead for where I am right now, it won't help those tendencies for me. And so I'm trying to like keep things in mind, but not overly, I used to, well, every night I still have a checklist, but I wouldn't just have a checklist. I'd have like, it'd be like one, but then it'd be like A, B, C, D, E, F is under one. And then it'd be two. A, B, C, D, E, F is under two. So now I'm just doing like 1, 2, 3. And I know this sounds like so ridiculous, but I'm sure other Virgos can understand. That already just feels like I've grown so much, and I'm being more present for what I'm comfortable with right now, transitioning, by not detailing what one means, but just letting one be one.
Oh,
And it's just like,
I'm gonna cry.
it's really, yeah.
Like one being one. Like, of course, like you pull that context out of anything, everybody be like, all right, cool. But for like a Virgo metal, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Can we just take a moment? One being one.
Oh gosh.
But I know how deep that is. Like,
Yeah.
And I think like the emotion is because it's like, oh my God, this is like healing major trauma. Because why are people control freaks? Why do people have OCD? It's because of trauma. When trauma happened, we had no control of what happened, right? Because that's trauma, right? It shakes things up. And so if you've experienced multiple traumas, that is your way of staying alive, is how much can I control in my life so this never happens again. But when it gets to that extreme, it's like then it becomes unhealthy. So that one just being one is massive, right?
Yeah. It really is. It's because we always know what A through F is anyway. But it's like, so I'm like, why? Why did I always have to write it? Because it felt like it wasn't real if I didn't, or something, like it was just, so it's so interesting. It's really cool. And I'm excited to see where this goes. With being present with that. Are there any, you have, where I think, let's see you have so many offerings around this time and at the turn, and I don't know if we'll talk more about it on our next episode, but there are things that our listeners can look forward to that we kind of want to talk about now before we say bye?
Every year I do this like membership thing, and I change it based on, it started off with just like a printed calendar, but I've changed it in the last few years based on the energy of the year. So this year, I'm really thinking about, it's snake year. It's also ruled by yin wood, which we can talk about later in some other episode. But that yin wood in yin fire is such a beautiful interaction of connection and community. So a lot of that's what I wanted to create this year for the snake membership. It's a VIP membership, and it includes the digital calendar, and I've tweaked it so the reference book is going to be very easily accessible, because I do it for myself, because I'm like, wait, what was that? I don't want to watch a video. I want to just do a quick reference. So that has all that information. But what I'm also doing is I do this annual Lunar New Year ceremony where I go over the stars for each of the zodiac animals, and we kind of review the last year and that transition of snake year. And then I'm doing 2 workshops based on the energy of this year. And so one is like a strategy workshop where we're going to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to talk about clashes, harms, combos. So you have that calendar to understand. And in the calendar, there's all these like lucky days where if you want to get married on certain days or launch a project, you can follow that. But that strategy workshop I'm really passionate about because I want people to think about it for horse year. So for you to do that, you got to really understand the interactions of these energies. And I'm going to make it very simple. So it's not that complex to really understand. You just have to practice it. And then I'm doing one on love and relationship because yin is all about love and relationship.
Yeah.
And in that, I kind of teaching people how do you look at your natal chart to see what is the type of relationship that you, in your deepest part of yourself, desire. Because what shows up on our natal chart and what makes the relationship that will work good for us is not the type of relationship that we tend to go after for whatever reason, right? And I think that's where I'm in my life because it's my relationship love pillar is very different to who I am. And I secretly want this type of partner, but I never date that partner. I'm that partner in that relationship. And so that's something I'm unpacking.
Wow.
And then I'm doing different types of consultation reading. So VIP members get like first priority. And the last year, whenever I would open up my book, it would be booked within a day or two. And so I will always open up more spots for members. But if I don't have enough spots, I can't open up to the general public because it's another thing of me as a clinician. Like I like working with returning clients. It feels weird for me to share all of this for you and be like, okay, ciao, bye, good luck, and never see you again. When I see returning clients, we can go a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper, and they learn a lot more of like, how do I use this? So ultimately, like a clinician, I don't have to see you again. Like that's the goal. You want to live a life where you never have patience, right? In a weird way, because that means you did your job. So I'm really excited about this. And I'm excited that a lot of Dragon members are coming back. I get to see them. And it's just been so crazy to see like how they get it and how they use it. And they tell me how they use it. Because I don't know how people are going to use that energy or how they use each month, you know? It's just, I just know what that broad energy is about. But when I hear how people do it, I'm like, wow, that's so clever. That's amazing. I learn a lot.
Yeah. I keep a tab open of all of the things that you send. Like I'll download it and then it's a tab. And then so I'll be doing something or something will come up and I'll just go click on the tab and then I'll be like, oh, this is what it was.
I love it.
Yeah, or I'll have like a really interesting day in the clinic and I'll be like, what is going on? And then I'll go into the tab and I'll be like, oh, that was what was going on. Because you put like the dates and what to expect and the energies that can be there, but then how to optimize it and utilize that energy for you. So it's such an amazing offering, Tamsin.
Aw, thanks.
And I feel like as you're talking about what you have coming up, and I was thinking, what do I have coming up? And I was like, oh, participating in all of those things.
And then sharing it with your patients.
Yeah, right. Well, okay, I'm super excited to circle back before too long. It had been a while since our last episode, but we're going to have a fun one for the Lunar New Year, and this will be out soon. So I'm glad that we're back again.
Yeah,
Tamsin.
me too. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Well, that's it for today. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend and give us a review to let us know how you've been navigating your beauty journey. You can also follow us on Instagram at Beauty Birthright Pod and say hello.
To learn more about face reading, Batsa astrology, and seasonal living, head over to elementalarchetypes.com and follow me at Elemental Archetypes.
And to explore beauty through your own hands, visit yangface.com and follow at yang.face for tutorials, Chinese medicine theory, and candid thoughts on cultural appreciation.